Hey, welcome friends. Welcome back. It's great to have you. Or welcome for the first time. I hope you're finding our channel. As you can see, I've got Waffles here. She's a little distracted right now, isn't she? She wants this pup cup because we're here for coffee with Waffles and Len. And as soon as she has a little bit of this, I'm going to get my coffee. So always defer to the others first. That's good hospitality, right? Hey, well, today I want to talk to you a little bit about something that's going on in our culture. We've lost the ability to talk to one another, and instead we've created this sort of tribal system, our camps. And I'm not just talking politics. I'm talking philosophy, religion, just family dynamics. And we have just kind of gotten to a place where we want to be right. And who doesn't want to be right? The issue is being right is not as good as doing right by others. There is a biblical ethic, an ethic of Jesus, a way that says to do right by others. That is what righteousness is, to serve others, to love others, to consider, as Paul says, consider others as better than yourselves. And that's hard because by nature, we're a little bit selfish, aren't we? We want to be right. We want to have our opinions and our thoughts and be right. And I keep saying be right because that implies then that the other person is what? Wrong. And I think we should come to a place where we just learn to communicate that it's not always about right and wrong. It's just about a different point of view, a different way of seeing the world. Yes, there are times when there is absolute right and wrong. I'm not trying to get wishy-washy and say that. But most of the time, it's just a matter of being different and seeing things a little bit differently. Some people have an artist brain, some people have an engineer brain, some people have a coding software brain, and some people just sort of blend between them all. And we approach the world much differently, our dreams and our goals. And as a result in our communication, we project on others when they disagree with us. We project on them often, not everybody, but often we project this sense of, well, you're just wrong, or your motivations are suspect, or we just think that you're trying to do something that is negative or opposed, or, just sort of trying to undermine us. And, that's not always the goal. People have different things. I remember years ago, I grew up in the era of the Cold War. And I remember in elementary school having nuclear bomb drills where we'd get under our desks, like our little school desks are going to protect us from a nuclear bomb, right? Well, we would have these sorts of things. And the movie Red Dawn, and I remember the Russians were evil. And then their whole Reagan era, and, tear down that wall, and, all of that colored my view, my context, my environment, shaped how I viewed the other people. And then I had the privilege of going to Russia many times now to serve in an orphanage a few hours south of Moscow. And you know what I came to learn? Russian people are amazing. They have the same dreams and goals to raise their families, to live well and comfortably, to survive, and not just survive, but to thrive. It's our governments, people in power, who have sort of dug in and created different points of view. But in that idea of things, then, in order to get our points of view across, we've had to shape them as the opposite tribe. And they've done the same with us and their government. I'm not gonna say their government's great. In fact, I'll land on the side that says they're bad. But our government's not always so good either. And let me get off the politics and get back onto what I'm trying to say, because it's not about good government, bad government. This is about communication and interpretation and points of view. When I go out to paint a picture, I'm not painting just what I see. I'm trying to interpret the scene and share a story and communicate how I feel when I see a scene. When I have a discussion or argument with my child or my spouse, I'm trying to get my point across and they're trying to get their point across. And until we recognize that maybe their point of view is right, or at least I should go out of my way to understand it. Now, all of this may seem like I'm rambling a little bit, and perhaps I really am, but let me get to the point of this, that we need to do right by others to tear down the walls between us and join in unity and love one another. Again, there's those times of true right and wrong, and we've got to hold on to our values in that way. But even if somebody has absolutely opposing values, I still should love them. And to love them, I need to at least try to understand where they're coming from. That old adage, walk a mile in their shoes. I need to try to get a perspective and point of view to at least understand them and not go into our tribal camps, not go into our opposition, but try to see where they're coming from and at least have a diplomacy, at least have a love for them, at least have a respect for them. Jesus says to us, treat others as you want to be treated. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I want to be heard. I want to be understood. I want to be respected. So I think I should do the same for them. We may still land on that we agree to disagree, but at least that is reasonable and mature, instead of pointing fingers and shaking fists and calling them names. And I know you're thinking about certain recent political situations, but I'm not. I'm thinking about human nature. Name calling and shaking fists and causing tribes has been part of human nature since the beginning. And we need to try to find a place, the Jesus way, that says, I'm going to love you even if I disagree with you. I want to understand you, and I'd love for you to try to understand me. So my graduate degree actually is in cross-cultural communication, and I remember in one of my classes talking about this idea of communication, that when I have my thoughts and the words come out of my mouth, before they get to your ears and into your thoughts, they go through a whole lot of what they call noise. That noise may be body language, it may be context of where this discussion is taking place, if it's in the middle of an argument, or if it's in the middle of let's get to know one another. That context shapes how those words are heard and interpreted by the other person. And I need to understand that my goal is not to express my thoughts and my opinions. My goal is to help make sure that you understand my thoughts and opinions the way I intended them to come across. And getting short and heightened and stringent in my body language and my tone is not going to help you understand. It's actually going to make the noise louder and make it more difficult to understand. So we need to work on our communication skills. We need to work on deferring to one another and respecting one another. And as I said in a previous video, to love our enemy, but really, why are we even going to call them our enemy? Until they truly are, and even when they are, let's love them and respect them and try to embrace one another. I think that's the way of Jesus. He calls us to live differently. He calls us to live lovingly, to do right by others, to respect one another. He does not call us to dig in our heels and entrench in our camps. He doesn't call us to do anything but live like Jesus. And so let's try that. How about we try that? I think that would be great. Too many families have split up. Too many churches have split up. Too many Governments have split up and gone to war. Now, you personally may not be able to stop a war on a global scale, but we certainly can lessen the tone wherever we are at in our families and in our churches and in our communities and in our organizations that we're part of and in our work environments. Let's raise the art of communication and interpretation and respect giving, and let's lower the horrible behavior and skill of entrenchment and camp building and tribalism and fighting one another. How about that? Hey, thank you so much for being here. I'm glad you found us, and if you would like this video and share this with everybody you know, let's grow this channel, a way of gentle faith encouragement to live like Jesus according to his way and to love one another the way he calls us to. And I'd appreciate you sharing that. Okay? Thank you so much. And hey, be good to others.